Colin, we've had many and varied range of questions about the proposals for a new stadium for Kidderminster Harriers since last week. We're putting together 10 of the best of them. Let's get straight into it, I guess. The idea and theory behind the new stadium and what you're hoping for as an end product. How ideally do you see that actually being finalised? Because I suppose, obviously, it won't come cheap.
It won't come cheap, but I just didn't wake up one morning and think, let's go and move a stadium. We have a lot of options and also the opportunity of a lot of very lucrative partnerships. This isn't going to be a Kidderminster Harriers against the world. It's going to be, let's have relationships with certain interested parties, and those discussions are ongoing at the moment. Try to make clear to everybody that that there's not a lot we can say at the minute. We do want to be open and honest with people, but it wasn't oh no, let's go and build a stadium and not think about the costs and the implications. That'd be the furthest thing from our thoughts.
So theoretically, if you were looking at the whole process, whether it's involving the land that we're sitting on now, whether it involves discussion with the council, whether it involves outside investment, one way or another, probably a combination of all of those sorts of things?
Absolutely a combination, and probably further afield than that as well. Our proposal is an education project. It's not a football project. It's an education project that can support a football club, but this football club can't support itself. That's the problem, and so we're looking at many and varied partners, and we're in advanced discussions with many and varied partners. And so the first stage, unfortunately, it's caused a hell of a stir. But the first stage is to put our plans to the council before their deadline, which was I think it was on the 10th of August. And if we hadn't have done, we'd have missed the boat for 5 years. And with the lease running down and a lot of changes in the game, that would have been stupid of us. Now, it might be that things move at a nice pace and we hit our targets. It might be that they don't, but at least we've got the plans in place now, and it has to go through the process. And therefore, we don't have to wait 5 years before we put some more plans in place, which would mean from now till the end of that period would be 8 or 9 years down the line. Mm-hmm. And then we would be into the teens with regards to amount of time left on our lease. And 8 or 9 years of changes in football could leave us a long, long, long way behind. That's the point.
You've touched already on one of my other 10 questions, key questions at least. In terms of the education and an education-based system that can support a football club, there may be those who, perhaps incorrectly in our opinion, view that as everything revolves around education and football is an afterthought. Whereas I know your view is that a successful football team is well financed by a successful education system.
We have to find outside revenue sources. This is quite unique. This is a different project completely. But we have to find outside revenue sources. But my thought process is quite simple. The average budget in this league has risen dramatically, and the average budget for the teams to be successful has risen dramatically outside of our reach at the moment. Now we want to be, and everybody, we want to be in the Football League. So how on earth can we afford a budget that's going to get us into a Football League if we can't afford the budget that we think that would make us competitive in this league? Mm-hmm. Our plans are to be an established Football League team. We as a community can't support that at the moment. We just can't. We probably can't support, we certainly can't support the club in its current state at the moment. So we either draw back in and we accept that we're a non-league team that is always going to be decent, thereabouts, but this is our level. Or we look at the big picture and say, right, let's go and do something great. Let's go and be great. And that's the way I want to approach it. I want the club to be great. I want it to be a model for the whole of football. And my thoughts process on this, we need something to support it, but it's a football project. That kind of contradicts myself. But the education side of it will support the football project as well. Mm-hmm. I think that at the moment that we are failing our young British talent. We are failing them. It's a ridiculous number of 17% of players in the Premier League are British. So where is the rest of that talent going? Why are they being discarded? Why are they being cast on the scrap heap so young? How can we attract them to us? How can we give them hope for the future? How can we give them an education that will support them if they don't succeed? That's what I'm looking at, and that's what I'm about. The whole project is a football project supported by education.
Mm-hmm. Moving on, I'll let you just turn your phone on to silent and figure that out.
Yeah.
With regards to the entire project, was there any possibility that the project could have been carried out and completed with us staying here at Agborough as it is now? Was it ever a possibility to do that, or was moving always?
None at all. It doesn't work. At the end of the day, the plans are that the stadium will be a building of higher education that happens to have a football pitch in the middle, and that's the whole beauty of the project. So we can't fit 450 kids here. We just couldn't do it, and we wouldn't have then the support infrastructure with regards to pitches, AstroTurf pitches, the college, the support college, the free school. It all has to be on one site for it to work. We wouldn't attract the investment from the commercial investment that we would need. We don't have the room for that commercial investment, for new bars and new infrastructure. We don't have it.
Why, in principle, and it is obviously in principle and proposals, because no land has changed hands in terms of ownership yet. We keep reiterating how early in the process it is, but in terms of a potential location, why this particular location that we're talking about? Why was that the site?
We've obviously got to go and finalise that position at the moment, but it's where we train at the moment. It's a perfect environment. It's surrounded by leisure with the golf course that I think will be redeveloped again, with the athletic stadium, with the hockey pitches, with the netball hub, even with our own leisure centre. So for me, it creates a leisure corridor, which could be not too dissimilar to, say, a Loughborough.
Mm-hmm.
So it just adds excitement, really. It just it suits the eye and it suits the project.
One of the questions which I've had from a lot of people since Thursday, it centres around logistics, and again, appreciating we're very early to know any definites of something which is quite specific, but into that planning process, things like shuttle buses from the town centre, sort of transport to help people get from where they are to where a new stadium will be. Will that enter into the process?
I think if people want to come to football, we'll find a way of getting them there. I think we're a little bit romantic here at the moment, because this is not suitable for people to turn up and watch football, and it never has been. It's a nightmare. So let's build something that is suitable, and if we have to put shuttle buses on from the railway station, if that many people come in on the trains, then great. I'm not aware of that many people that come in on trains at the moment, but if all of a sudden we start getting people coming in on the train, let's pick them up and take them down on buses down the road. It's just round the corner. So again, people talking about logistics as if this is the perfect site. This is in the middle of a housing estate, in the same way as the Dell was at Southampton, in the same way as the baseball ground was, in the same way as most teams that have moved to a purpose-built site have all come from, more urban sports grounds. So let's not get all romantic about it. This is not a perfect site. It is if you want to go to Captain Cod's and get some fish and chips and walk up the road and have a pint. That's fair enough, and I don't want to destroy people's Saturday afternoons. But if we are not competing, if we are getting relegated, if we are not the team that we want to be, then it destroys a lot more people's Saturday afternoons than the guy who wants to pop down the road and get his fish and chips and walk up the road and have a pint.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I understand people love their routines, but if we don't do this, perhaps we won't have, none of us will have a routine. Perhaps we won't have a football club. That's the point. Now, not only do I want to survive, I reiterate, I want this to be great. An example for us all. And surely, putting aside the Saturday afternoon trips out, we all want our team to be great. We all want our team to compete. And that's what we want to do here.
On a similar sort of theme, you've already touched on food and drink there, so you're following quite neatly, but
I've been reading the emails.
you would ideally envisage any completed complex, I guess, to have establishments where you can have either a punt of Saddlers or whatever it is.
We've
There'll
already
be something.
started those negotiations. We've already talked to partners on that side. Of course it will be, and it will be different, but it'll be new and it'll be exciting. You know, that's a given. You know, that's what we'll look to do. I mean, we should have 450 to 530 students there on a daily basis. So it's not just, you know, the football punter that turns up once a fortnight. You know, the fact is that, you know, those boys and girls or gentlemen and ladies want to be entertained, and they also want to eat and drink, and we've got to provide that for them. But I must reiterate that is not how we're going to make our money. We're going to make our money because those kids want to come here to get educated.
As opposed to anywhere else.
As opposed to anywhere else.
Commercially, do you envisage that the likes of, say, artificial pitches, 3G, Astro, whatever, for local community use? I know those facilities are present in
there will be, and
some
I know
ways.
that we're a long way down the line on those plans for that site. So yeah, but as for our own community use and for our own team's use and anybody else's and all the other junior teams in the area, we will enhance the facilities in the area, there's no question.
Any completed new stadium, ideally, all-seater, terracing, or a mixture of both?
To be discussed. Let's be honest, to be discussed. We could say it's going to be all-seater, then in 6 months' time it might be that standing comes back in again. So a couple of clubs want to trial it. I think West Brom will one, and so it's to be discussed. All of these things are minor detail, you know, with regards to how the stadium's going to look from the inside, with regards to seating and standing. I know pretty much how the stadium will look with regards to the facilities in the stadium, because that's what's going to drive the business.
And in terms of the completed project, say in 10 years' time, wherever the club is operating, hopefully thriving, who will own that end product, if you like, in terms of land, a facility? Who is in control there?
The club should own its own land, should own its own stadium for the first time ever. That's the whole point. So we don't have to go through this again, but we're actually owning a site that not only will house a university, a college and a free school, but obviously artificial pitches and a lot of other support infrastructure for developing quality footballers.
Lastly, but probably most importantly, how important is supported dialogue for you in terms of having that input in the production of a new stadium, but also any questions, concerns? That's why we're having this conversation now. Supporters are able to express those and know that it'll be taken on board, I guess.
You've only got to come and ask. Never said no to anybody. The difficulty is to shut me up. So come and talk. You don't need any vehicle for it. There's no vehicle needed. You want to come and speak to me, I'm here. Knock the door. Come and see us on a Saturday morning. Come and talk to me when you can. Don't leave things hanging in the air. Don't have questions that are unanswered. And don't surmise or guess. Come and ask. And we'll tell you, for as much as we can tell you, we'll tell you the truth about anything to do with the football club, and that's been the way it's been with me since day one. Mm-hmm. So why we'd have so much conjecture on message boards and the like at the moment, I can't understand. If you want to find out the truth, come and ask me. If you don't think I'll give you the truth, well, that's another matter. That's for you to decide. But even if you don't think I'll come and give you the truth, come and ask me my version of the truth, and I'll tell you it, rather than guessing. There are no hidden agendas. I'm not looking for a get-rich-quick scheme. I want to build something that we're all proud of. I want a legacy. I want something that's a fantastic example for the rest of football. For me, in my mind, and I've got more experience than most, 35 years at the top of this sport, football is failing, dramatically failing, and we are minutes away from the thing coming down around our ankles.
And that's the game in general.
The game in general, not just at our level, the game in general. You cannot justify these ludicrous fees, this lack of knowledge at boardroom level that's making them pay ridiculous amounts of money to players, to other football clubs, to agents. Football is failing. I don't want football to fail, so rather than bang the table, as I'm doing at the moment, and moan about it, I want to create an environment where we can put it right. Now, The other night in the sponsors forum, it was difficult. It was very difficult for me because on the whole the reaction was good, but there were one or two that doubted. And I understood their position because they like things the way they are. I'm sorry about that. I don't. And it can't survive the way it is. And I'm not going to prop this football club up for another 3, 4, 5, 6, 10 years, which I'm doing at the moment. Alright? And not only propping you up, I'm actually spending money to go and acquire talent to try and help us compete.
For that football team that is still
for the
very
football
important.
team that's massively important. So I don't want to fail, but I also want to get out in the bed in the morning feeling excited about the day ahead, because I want to change, and I want to change, and I want to make us successful again. I had an agent on the phone today that was trying to tell me that Solihull Borough are bigger than us, right? If he'd have been here, I'd probably punched him on the nose. I can't have that. I can't have that. So if everybody else can, then fine, go and watch Solihull. But if you want to be part of an exciting, successful journey, then come with us. Because for us to survive in our current structure, we would have to put our prices up by 10 times on everything. If you provide a board, it's going to be $5 grand a year, not 500 quid. If you're going to sponsor a game, it's going to be X. If you're going to come through the gate, it's going to be X. Because we need to generate a budget. We're really going to have to get close to in the future, in a very, very near future, £1 million a year budget.
We don't need to mention names, but there are teams in this league now that are above that, aren't there?
Absolutely. And they were last year. And when we outbatted most of them, we got beaten by one that was paying ridiculous amounts of money. We've got to compete with them. And of course, with the coaching and the development and the talent ID and everything else that we've got going for us, we'll come up with diamonds, and we'll come up and we'll buck the trend. But there's always someone that will make a difference to your team, and invariably that one is worth a fair few quid. And we've got to be able to afford that kind of talent. And once you get there, you've got to be able to afford it more. And we do speak to about the other day, we're like the shark, aren't we? As soon as you start moving, you die. And that's what we are.
Important, I think, also just to temper that a little bit. The fact that we're having this conversation in general is because there's some uncertainty out there. There's some, I wouldn't say unease, but a little bit of concern and caution. But you also have been contacted by a number of people who are also, fair play, this is quite impressive, we're right behind it. You must be pleased to have some of that support as well.
I am, and it's very nice, but it doesn't matter. You know, I have to be able to not lose focus either way. Focus is, let's make the club great, and it's lovely, but there are a lot of people out there that have been brilliantly supportive, but we always keep talking about the minority, you know, the very vocal few that, you know, I don't know, their glass is always half empty to me. Well, that's fine, that's the way you are, that's great, and I can't change your mind, and I'm not going to try to, but that's not going to deter me either. I'm going to drive this company, this football club, on to achieve all of our objectives, and hopefully more. Hopefully more. Can we not do what Burton do? Can we not even push higher than that? I played at Wimbledon. Good grief. To all intents and purposes, it was a pub team. But they got rid of me so they could play at Wembley the year after. But the fact is that even a club of that size, and it'll never be done again. I beg to differ. There's a lot of talent out there that's going to get thrown on the scrapping because of this current system is hopeless. Run by, I don't care who comes after me, hopeless people. Hopeless people. We're riding a lovely wave of financial benefit at the moment, but for how long? For how long? Right, so let's do it ourselves. Let's generate the money ourselves. Let's drive this business on ourselves. Let's get behind every project the football club wants. Let's be proud of what we build, and let's do it together. And let's stand back in a few years' time and say we've done well, but I guarantee you, even in a few years' time, we'll be saying there's more to do.
And given that we're potentially 5 years away, I'd like to think that sort of Thursday evenings content and this has acted as a fairly comprehensive brief, if you like, but if people still have those burning desires, you're around Saturday afternoon to entertain them, and
They can come and talk to me again, and that's not a problem. But this is a first step. It's not the final step. It's the first step, one that we had to take. One we had to take quite publicly, because you can't give these things quiet. So we had to take that first step. We had to be on time with our plans going into the council. Otherwise, we'd have to wait another 5 years. That's why we did what we did. Now, the timescale from then on will be determined on how quickly certain things can get passed and how ready we are to take the next steps. But we will take those steps. And if that doesn't suit some of you, I can only apologise. I don't want to ruin your Saturdays. But I'd like to make sure we've got Saturdays and Tuesday nights. That's what I'd like to make sure we've got.
And quite apart from England under 17s as we're talking now here tonight, and Agbro, possibly England under 21s or whatever.
Well, we've had, that's the beauty of this, isn't it, really? And people, you know, it's no fluke, is it? We had England 20s, Brazil, great game, 17s tonight. We've had the Premier League, the Ladies Premier League games here. We've had fantastic programme of pre-season games. You know, when I came in here, you wouldn't have had a bonfire on the pitch. But now we've put the work and the effort and recognised the importance of having a fantastic surface with a great groundsman and a brilliant crew. And now people want to come and play here because of the hospitality we put on, because of our professionalism, because of the way we do things. You know, it's no fluke that the FA come here and want to come here. You know, it's down to how professional we are. Yeah, it's nice to have contacts, it's nice to be able to pick fun of them. But the fact of the matter is, they want to come. But when I came, it was pretty much a dust bomb. As I say, I wouldn't have had a bonfire on it.
Well, you wouldn't have lit one for a start.
No, you wouldn't. But if you did, it wouldn't have stopped it. So, you know, let's just think about the professionalism within the club now, be proud of that. But that's not where we're going to stop. We're not going to stop until we achieve all of our aims and objectives. Now, people's concerns, can we afford it? I understand where you're coming from. Pretty well connected. We know what we have to do. My argument would be, can we afford not to?